What's up, Pokemon trainers? I'm Big Rob coming at you with yet another Pokemon Go video, and tonight I'm here at my local Twilight Cup here at Coffee Cartel in Redondo Beach, Riviera. Don't know how much I'm going to be able to film while I'm in there, but I will be doing screen recordings and making commentary during the tournament. So let's hope and pray that I don't lose all of my matches. I do have a prepared team. I'll put them up here on the screen right now so you guys can take a look. And I hope you guys enjoy this video. Afterwards, I'm going to be shiny hunting because today is Pokemon Day, so enjoy. So Yankee Castle was my first opponent, and looking at his team, I wasn't too worried about it. The only Pokemon that I thought might cause me a little bit of trouble was Qwilfish, and you'll see later on in the battle that I really couldn't connect the dots on what Pokemon in my team could actually counter Qwilfish. I hadn't done any research on what Pokemon would be good to have on my team to counter Qwilfish. I did see a lot of people in the tournament using him, and it did get me a bit worried. As you can see for this first matchup, I used my Golbat as my lead, only to bait shields. He's really good at gaining energy and getting his charge moves in pretty quick to bait people into using their shields. For my second Pokemon, I picked Venomoth because he is straight godly in the Twilight Cup. It only takes 4 confusion to take out a Toxicroak, and I knew that this Pokemon would be relevant in the meta. For some weird reason, I put Skuntank as my third, thinking that it would counter Qwilfish, and geez, was I wrong. To start off the battle, I brought up my Golbat to bait shields, and he brought out his Qwilfish. I quickly switched to my Skuntank, thinking that that would take down Qwilfish. Of course, that's not how it goes, and he brings out his Azumarill, which I know will be a tough matchup for my Skuntank, because Azumarill is pretty tanky and packs a good punch. I did end up doing quite a bit of damage to his Azumarill because he didn't block against my Flamethrower, but I did throw up my own shield against his Ice Beam because I knew that would probably take out my Skuntank indefinitely. I do manage to try to get another Flamethrower in, to which he throws up a shield to, so then he has no shields left. And then he uses an Ice Beam on my Skuntank, and I use my last shield because I really don't want my Skuntank to go down. I want to have the leverage on having more Pokemon alive than he does. Somehow I managed to take out his Azumarill, and he brings out his Qwilfish again, and again I have no idea how to counter this. It does end up taking out my Skuntank, and I bring out my Venomoth, thinking that that would do a good job in countering it. Now this is where I started to figure it out. My Venomoth actually did quite a good job at taking down the Qwilfish, but not without taking a lot of damage because I had no shields left. I end up taking out, and he brings in his Toxicroak. I try to get as many hits in with my Venomoth as I can before it faints. As soon as his Toxicroak comes in, I have a Silver Wind ready to go and waiting to take him out. I charge it up, and somehow he has a shield left, so I guess I lost track of that. But I do end up doing a good amount of damage to his Toxicroak because, as I said before, Venomoth is a straight god. Now we get down to where we both have just a sliver of health left, and he gets his Mud Bomb off, taking my Venomoth out, and I bring out my Golbat, which I had switched out earlier in the match, and take him out and win this round. Now my next opponent was Prolo Nova, and he had 2 Pokemon on his lineup that I had no idea how to counter because, again, I did no research on them. He had a Qwilfish and an Alolan Marowak, and you guys will see how much trouble those 2 Pokemon gave me during this matchup. Now for this round, I ended up picking my Golbat as my lead again to try and bait shields. I don't think that worked out too well for me. And then I picked Venomoth as my second because, of course, he's the god. And for my third, I picked Azumarill, thinking that that would probably do a decent job at countering Marowak. Of course, I come out with my Golbat first, and he brings out the dreadful Qwilfish. For some reason, I end up switching to my Venomoth, and I know immediately that I probably made a big mistake. I know Venomoth did do a good amount of damage to his Qwilfish, but then he brought out his Azumarill, and I know that I am probably royally screwed because I can't switch out my Pokemon for another minute. I do end up getting off a Silver Wind, which he doesn't block, and it doesn't do nearly enough damage to his Azumarill. We end up battling it out. I throw up a shield because, of course, I don't want my Venomoth to get taken out just in case he has Toxicroak on his team later on. I end up trying to get another Silver Wind in. I think he might shield again. Nope, but he didn't shield, but I didn't do enough damage at all. I think I end up taking out his Azumarill after throwing up another shield, wasting my shields because I do not want my Venomoth to be taken out this quick. I do end up getting another Silver Wind off and taking out his Azumarill, and then he switches out to his Alolan Marowak. I probably should have switched out at this point because I think the timer was over, but of course I didn't. I kept my Venomoth in and got obliterated by his Marowak. I tried to get another Silver Wind in to do some damage, and it really does barely anything. So Marowak really was a thorn in my side during this matchup. I brought out my Golbat. I have no idea why. I think that was like my last Pokemon left, and of course he completely obliterates me with that charge move. I keep trying to whittle down this Alolan Marowak, but to no avail because Golbat does not do very well against Alolan Marowak at all whatsoever. He ends up taking my Golbat out right here, I'm pretty sure. Yep, and then I am stuck with my Azumarill, which does end up taking out his Marowak, but only after taking a pretty good amount of damage there with that attack. So I take out his Marowak, and then he brings out his Quillfish. He has more health than me. I think normally I probably would have been able to beat him with my Azumarill, but of course I have no shields, and I think he has one left, maybe. Nope, I did a little, very minuscule amount of damage. He gets his attack in and obliterates my Marowak, and that is the end of the round, and I lost this matchup in the end in our last battle after this. My next opponent was Cray, and looking at her team, I wasn't too worried. The only two Pokemon I didn't know how to counter were the Nidoqueen and the Alolan Muk. For this matchup, I decided to again bring out my Golbat as my lead to bait shields, Venomoth as my second because again, he's the god, and for third, I brought my Azumarill. For our first battle, I decided to take out my Golbat first, of course, so I can try to bait some shields. I see that she took out her Toxicroak, and I quickly switch to my Venomoth because I know Venomoth will do a lethal amount of damage against her Toxicroak. She ends up switching out to her Skuntank, and I know that I'll probably be in trouble if I don't shield and this thing has Flamethrower, but I do get off a Silver Wind that does a good amount of damage to her Skuntank. I believe she tries to get in a charge move after this, to which I do shield because I know, again, I would be in trouble if it was a Flamethrower. And see, I dodged a bullet there. I think I do end up taking out her Skuntank, and she brings out her next Pokemon after my Silver Wind. She does end up actually shielding against my Silver Wind to buy her some more time. I believe she tries to get off another charge move, to which I have to waste my last shield because I do not want to risk losing my Venomoth this early in the match. I end up taking out her Skuntank, and she brings out her Azumarill. I think I made a mistake here by trying to get in a Silver Wind, and it doesn't do nearly as much damage as it should. I think after that I switch out to my Azumarill so we can have a mirror match, and with me having more health, I know that I will win this one. Unfortunately, she gets a charge move off pretty fast and pretty much levels the playing field. Now we keep going back and forth. I have no shields and she still has one left. I had to waste all of mine when I had my Venomoth out. I do get a Play Rough off that does no damage because she used a shield. We continue to go back and forth, and I think ultimately my Azumarill gets taken out only because she had some shields left. As you can see, she just did a lethal hit to my Azumarill. I think I come in again with a Play Rough. Now that she has no shields left, I do a good amount of damage, but immediately after I get mine off, she is ready with her own and takes out my Azumarill. I end up bringing out my Golbat because I know it's the only Pokemon I have left with enough HP to take out this Azumarill. I end up getting a Poison Fang off that knocks it completely out, and she brings out her Toxicroak. As soon as she brings out her Toxicroak, I bring out my Venomoth. Even though it's low on health, it does some lethal damage to her Toxicroak. Unfortunately, I don't have any shields left, so my Venomoth gets knocked out, and I bring out my Golbat to wrap things up. I end up winning the next battle against her as well, and go on to fight some very good trainers after this. Congratulations to Howard, who won the entire tournament. We had 21 participants. I did tie with a bunch of people with 3 points, but I did end up in 9th place overall. Congratulations to everyone. I had a blast during this tournament, and I will be doing more in the future. Concludes my Twilight Cup. You guys will see all my matches and breakdown basically how I got 9th place. I think a bunch of us tied for the same amount of wins, but there's another algorithm on the side. You guys will see it up here, a whole list of everyone's points and stuff. And I think they were telling me that it depends on how many wins your opponent has. Factors in what number you get. So I came in 9th. A bunch of us tied with the same amount of wins. It was super fun. Big shout out to the Pogo Los Angeles Discord for throwing this. Big shout out to Nicole and Theron for putting this together for all of us. We all had an absolute blast. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.